how do we measure if this whole thing that we're doing is working? Well, one of the most misused acronyms out there is ROI. All right, we say, oh, what's your ROI? That is such a vague statement. We don't really know what that means. Rather than ROI, I want to talk about a couple other TLAs. TLA means 3-letter acronym. So, 4-letter acronym, we have ROAS, screwed me all up. That's an FLA. All right, so anyway, to really understand ROI, you have to look at it in the context of basically like 2 numbers, I believe, or 2 other metrics. Let's start with ROAS, which stands for return on ad spend. When people typically say, what's your ROI? What's your ROI in Facebook? What's your ROI in AdWords? What they're typically saying, what's your ROAS? What's your return on ad spend? So for every dollar that you give Google, how many dollars do you get in return? That's ROAS. Now, this is an extremely important number to get to, because if you're doing digital marketing, you're probably doing paid advertising of some sort, and you should be. I mean, you should be capitalizing on Facebook, on Google, and paid search. Now, what you have to do, though, is you have to kind of take into consideration what are the expenses that really exist to understand what ROAS you can live with. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're a solopreneur. You got 1, you got 2 of you, 3 of you, you have a small team. You have very low operational cost. Maybe the product that you sell is something that's not really tangible, like an information product. You services, kind of like me. I mean, I sell advice, things like that. Like, I don't have a lot of overhead. I don't have operational costs. I don't have any COGS, any cost of goods sold. And let's also say you have a lot of automation systems, or you have a lot of things that work in the background, so you don't need to hire a lot of people. Things are very automated. You could absolutely live with a ROAS of 1.25 to 1. Like, that wouldn't be bad at all. I mean, think about it. You're getting a 25% return. Now, if you're in e-commerce, you're probably like, there's no way in the world I could live on a 1.25 to 1 ROAS. No, you can't. But I'm emphasizing a point that your business justifies what this number should be. A 25% return on investment, if you're a solopreneur and these are the case, I mean, that's a better return on investment than Warren Buffett gets, the most famed investor of our day. You'd be beating Warren Buffett annually if you actually got a 25% return. Now, back to reality for all of the people on this call, you have different type things. You may have 100+ employees. You may have multi-international locations. You could have a product cost. It could cost you a third of the, you could be costing you $33 to create a $100 product. It could be, you could have customer service lined up. You have distribution costs. You have all of these different pieces in place. Well, you have to understand, how do all of those factors influence the cost to make and acquire a customer? That's really the 2 pieces of it. What does it cost to create it? So there's parts and materials, and there's buildings, and there's people, and there's all these pieces in place. Then there's the cost to sell it, which is your marketing and all of those different pieces. And then there's the cost to maintain it, like your customer service and all those things. So all of the things roll up into one. So you figure out, what is the actual ROAS that is going to help me break even? Oh yeah, and return rates. I didn't even throw that in there. What's the rate of return? Well, it could easily take a 7-to-1 return on investment to break even. Maybe it's not that severe, but there's definitely a number, 3, 4, 5-to-1. For every dollar you give Google, how many dollars do you need in return? Well, that's a very important thing to understand. Now, here's another thing that I want to share, though, is that I believe the goal for ROAS should be to break even, like really break even, not fake break even, but for real. Like, if I sell this product and all those pieces that come together, am I 1-to-1? Am I even? The reason why is because if the goal of business is to get and keep customers, and we are focused on building brand advocates, people who buy again and again, and people who share the purchase and get referrals, well, then who cares if our initial acquisition cost for a customer broke even? I mean, sometimes if we do a really good job of creating brand advocates, let's lose money to acquire a customer. Who cares? Especially if we understand the lifetime value of the customer. How many times is this customer going to come back? How many times they order? And these are the questions. Ask yourself these questions. Write this down so you can establish your lifetime value. Hopefully you have a good CRM where you know that. You can associate emails to revenue over a said period of time, and you know how often people come back and how often people buy. That's a fantastic metric to get your hands on. So how often do people order? How long will they order for? That's the big question in subscription models. How much do they spend when they order? How often do they refer others? And then also, how much do the referrals spend? So when you can ask yourself these questions, you can understand how important it is to acquire a customer. You can understand how much money you're willing to lose to acquire a customer if your lifetime value is very good.